Welcome back. If you are just joining, it's Trending O'Clock, and you know what we do right here on Trending. We talk about all the trending gist, all the trending issues on the internet, and of course, give our opinions about them. I am Mercy Erabo, and once it's trending, I can never be alone. In the studio, who is joining us today? Mr. Michael Gubadia. Mr. Michael, thank you for always joining me on Trending.
Well, anyway, it's always a pleasure to be a part of what seems to be trending.
And you look smart. I love the touch of pink.
Well, that's nice to hear. Thank you so much.
All right, that's Mr. Michael always giving us the vibes. Yes, let's dive straight into our trending gist for today. A top story. A 29-year-old Nigerian postgraduate student, Chiemka Okoronta, has been sentenced to 10 years in prison in the United Kingdom for the rape of 17-year-old girl. The incident occurred on March 25th in Molly, Leeds, after both Okoronta and the teenager were left stranded when a night bus service stopped unexpectedly. The young girl, who was on her way back to Bradford, found herself vulnerable and in need of help, but instead she was taken advantage of. A UK court found Okoronta guilty and handed him 10 years sentence. The case has since raised serious conversations about taking advantage of people, all because you want to help them. And this is very, very common in this part of the country. You want to help people, but you try to take advantage of them, knowing the fact that these persons are vulnerable, they are desperate, and all of that. And this guy forgot the fact that he is not in the country. He's not in Nigeria. You're in a place where the system works very well, and you decide to take advantage of a vulnerable teen girl, and now you've just been given 10 years in prison. Interesting story, Mr. Michael.
Well, yes, very interesting, and it goes to show you the rot that many Nigerians seems to have. Well, you know, maybe he does it, he has been doing it here in Nigeria, and he feels the UK is a place to go and do that. It's quite a shame and a pity that you went to the United Kingdom to have a better life, go to school and get a better life, but you now ended up raping a girl for just how many minutes, and now spending 10 years behind bar. And most certainly, after his term has finished, he will be deported back to Nigeria. That is for sure. No going back. And it's just really a shame. And it shows how some men can be really, forgive my language, low lives as it concerns helping out, but rather taking advantage of that very teenage girl. Quite disturbing.
This will actually serve as an example to so many persons that are guilty of this thing. I remember seeing a story of a guy. He actually posted this, that a girl came to his house late at night because she was stranded, and in the middle of the night he wanted to have some form of intimacy with her, but she didn't agree, and that midnight he asked her to leave the house. Just imagine, because you want to take advantage of her because you know she's vulnerable at that point. So I think this will actually serve as an example to so many persons that know they are guilty of this. And if you know you are guilty of this, just know what goes around comes around. Well, away from that, so I saw this very dramatic scene yesterday at the airport involving Senator Natasha Akpoti-Oduah, the lawmaker representing Kogi Central. A video now making rounds online shows Senator Natasha confronting immigration officers after her international passport was allegedly seized. She claimed the action was carried out on the orders of Senate President Godswill Akpabio in what she described as an attempt to prevent her from leaving the country. Well, let's see the footage.
Have I committed any offense? Why are you withholding my passport? Hello, fellow Nigerians. Good morning. This is Senator Natasha Akpoti-Oduah. Having completed my celebration of my second year in office, I decided to take a week off. So I'm at the airport here, and my passport is being withheld again. The same thing happened last time where my passport was seized. I have committed no offense, and there is no order from the court to withhold my passport and deny me traveling. The last time this happened, The officer in charge told us that the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, instructed them to withhold my passport and prevent me from traveling because he said each time I travel out of the country, I smear the country's image by granting interviews out in international media. Please, can you tell them to release my passport and this embarrassment should stop? You have no right to withhold my passport. You have no right to deny me exit and entrance into my country. I have not committed any offense, and this must stop.
Well, this incident, which took place yesterday morning, has sparked major reactions across the nations, with many asking, why was Senator Godswill Akpabio's name mentioned? I am still wondering, Mr. Michael, why was his name mentioned in all of this?
She said, if you listen to her statement, she said last year or some time ago, when it still happened, what the response she got from the immigration officer was that the Senate President, as she said, instructed them to withhold her passport so she does not go outside to smear the name of Nigeria and granting unnecessary interviews to the media there in the foreign land. And, you know, but a quick one, in case you don't know, if conclusion on that is her passport has been returned back to her. And as information reaching us is that she has already left the shores of the country. But this bitter loss of love and hate between herself and the Senate President, I feel it's about time that all of that should be put on hold and let them see how they can resolve the problem. Because just some days ago, she invited the Senate President to her constituency to help inaugurate some of the beautiful things she gave out to her constituents. And I was thinking all of that melodrama might have ended, but only for us to also witness what played out yesterday. And I do understand the Nigerian Immigration Service has released her passport to her almost immediately. And I don't know whether any apology has come on account of that very disturbing video. But, you know, she said all of that happened because she went live and they felt a need of doing what they need to do in releasing her passport.
Okay, like she said, last year something like that played out, and she heard that it was Senator Akpabio's order that made them seize her passport.
And she
but
feels
how
that's
about
what really happened now.
What if it's not the reason this time around? And maybe that's why she was given back her passport and all of that. So maybe it's still assumptions because we've not really heard from Senator Godswill Akpabio. Well, so this is also a developing story. And once I will get more updates, we'll definitely bring them to your hearing. So away from that, a man identified as Josiah. This is a very funny story, but it's not so funny, but it's very funny. A rider working with a popular delivery company, name withheld, has been arrested after he was hired to deliver a mobile phone, but allegedly fled with the device instead of completing the delivery. Reports say the phone was handed over to him for a simple drop-off, but he disappeared with it following a complaint and a search. He was eventually traced and arrested. This incident has sparked conversations online about trust and safety. Imagine you didn't just give a dispatch rider a normal logistics, you see. From a popular delivery company, you handed this thing to him, and then the rider fled with the phone. And then you just get to ask, who do we trust in the country? Like, is there supposed to be procedures for all of these things with these delivery companies and the rest? Like, how will a rider just fled with somebody's mobile phone?
Well, that's why they always tell you, when it comes to sensitive things like this, they should always have a guarantor. And not just a guarantor, there should be security checks, especially as it concerns this person. And you know the funny thing about this very video is that he even had the effrontery of using the phone and even giving us peace that there's nothing happening on account of it. But my guy, well, sorry, you'll be doing more peaceful work in the correctional facilities in a very long period of time. But it also goes to show how high level of criminality seems to dwell in most people's mind.
Yeah.
You were given a job and you were being paid monthly. You're given a job to deliver a phone to the consumer, and you ended up halfway conniving and collecting and turning that very phone to yours. It's quite depressing. Many felt maybe he sold it. It's only after they tracked and found out he was the one personally using
the
it for
phone.
side effect and all of that. Well, anyway, we know the effect will run out of your eye, especially having after they've given you 3 of those slaps with weakness life and more to follow at the correctional facility. You'll think twice next time.
Well, in as much as this is very funny, but I think all of these delivery companies really need to start, should I say, scrutinizing most of
background
these
check.
people.
Background
yes,
check
for
of,
these
yes,
people
their
they
possible,
employ and all of that.
employer,
Because
employees
was it
or
yesterday or 2 days ago we talked about a popular still delivery service or cab service that one of the driver was always targeting females, rape them, rob them, and all of that. And this person works with a popular cab service, online cab service. So I don't know how all of these people employ their drivers, their riders, and all of that, but I feel they should do a lot of background checks and all of that. Mr. Michael, you want to say something?
And funny enough, it gives this company a bad name.
Yeah, sure.
Because now just imagine that very consumer. Would he want to also trust in using these dispatcher again? That's the question. So please, if you want to save your business, you've spent so much years in building, put so much resources in really actually making it go to the level it should. A background check will be the safest, easier, and best way to sustain your business. Don't employ these criminal-minded young men and women. Rather, do always a background check. Have guarantors that you can easily reach on account of if this person flee with your money, so that the refunds can be made from this guarantor. It's always easier and cheaper that way, and better. It saves your business and saves your business name.
Yeah, to think that this particular company, we've been seeing a whole lot of stories about them on the internet, and I think it's high time they work on all of these things. If not, they might lose a whole lot of customers.
Yeah.
So you watching, have you ever had a bad delivery experience? Yes, I've had several, but I don't want to go into that now. Drop your thoughts in the comment section of all our social media platforms, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram at Atlantic Media and TV. Yes, away from that, so I saw this very video of a young woman crying out for help, saying she is tired of her marriage and wants to leave. I wonder what she was still doing making that video after she said she has endured a lot of maltreatment and all of that abuses from her husband, and she has 3 kids with the man. Well, let's see the footage.
I dressed up so that I would go to church. Look at me. I dressed up for church. I also dressed my kids up for church. So my husband now said that when we are all fully dressed, my husband said that we are not going to go anywhere, that I'm not going to leave the house unless I sweep the compound and sweep our house as well. I told him I've already done other things. I have already warmed the food and washed the plates. But I told him that once I come back from church, that I'm going to do the remaining work because I'm already running late to church. He refused. He said that I must sweep the compound and that I must sweep the house as well. I told him that one is not a problem. Let me just go to church and come back. That I'm running late. That once I go to church and come back, that I'm going to sweep the compound and our house as well. He refused. He said that I'm not going to go anywhere. That if I don't sweep the compound, that I will not leave for church. I told him that this is wickedness. That is not fair. It's not fair. I'm the one doing all the whole house chores only me. Nobody is helping me. I know, like that Sunday morning when you want to get the kids ready for church, it's a whole lot of work. Taking care of 3 kids, bathing them and dressing them up for church only is not an easy work. So he said that I'm not going to step out of the house. You understand? I thought it was a joke. As I was about leaving, he just come and push me. He pushed me on the floor and I have to hit my chest. I hit my chest on the floor. As if that was not enough, he started beating me, started pushing me. He said that I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to go anywhere. What this man did to me today, I can never forget it. This man did.
Well, from that very clip, you can see the trembling of her voice, the fears in her face, looking like left, right, and center. Probably the man might just show up and hit her again. But what I'm still asking, what were you still doing there, making that very video? You are in an abusive marriage and you're still there making videos. What exactly do you want us to tell you to leave your marriage? I don't know. We've talked about this severally. Once you are in an abusive marriage, leave. Leave immediately. Don't wait until you die in that marriage. but you're over there making videos. How about the man coming out to meet you while you're making that video? And then you get into another problem, and only heaven knows if you will survive that one. Well, I don't know. Let's hear the male perspective of this.
Main perspective is nobody will condone domestic violence in any guise, be it emotional, be it physical, be it any way. You know, it's not something anybody should encourage. It's quite bad, and we'll just really advise her, if it has now come to physical domestic violence, well, that is the limit it can go. Your life is always so important. It will even be better if these children end up having a mother rather than having none. If you think I'm lying, you know the popular musician Osinachi and all that transpired during her case. We always tell women to check before you leave. You know, look at some of these characters. They are embedded in these persons during courtship. That's why you should always look out for some of these signs. Because when you get married, it only gets more difficult, and it gets more frequent. If it's a wife beater when he started, or somebody that hits a woman during courtship, most certainly it's going to break your head in marriage. But please, you know, that's why dialogue is always so important. A broken or a failed relationship is better than a broken marriage. Come on, it's always important. Please do the needful. Leave an abusive marriage to stay alive for the children. That's always so important. And for men that always feel it is right, it is your authority, come on. Would you also want your daughter to be beaten by any other person, or even your sister? As much as you can not want anybody to lay your hands on your daughters or your sister, please do not do same to another person's child. It is not the right way to go. But for her, seeking for Nigerians' attention, I will plead with her. The social media is indeed very destructive when it comes to that. They will advise you on any front, but it is only you that wear the shoe, know where it hurts. So it's only you that needs to take that decision. But you know, funny thing about this is sometimes Nigerians will advise her, and just 2 months from now, you see both of them kissing and sharing smart lovey-dovey, telling Nigerians to mind their business. So that's why we always advise you, do know what you need to do, but the honest truth about it, stay alive.
So, you know, what you just said now just reminded me of a story. And this is not just a story, it's a real life scene. Harrison Gwamnishu helped a lady then that was in an abusive marriage, helped her, even arrested the husband and all of that. And the next thing, the woman came out begging, pleading on the husband's behalf that they should please release her husband. He is the best thing that has ever happened to her. And Harrison was like, oh, I traveled down from Delta to, I think it's one of the eastern states, to help you out of this marriage. And now you are saying we should release your husband back to you. And I just wonder, why do people do all of these things? Yes, I know some persons might say stay for your children. But the truth is, when you die, what then happens to the children? That's a big question that you need to ask yourself. So on this very video, I went through the comments. Yes, I do not want to post some of the comments because they were a bit sensitive. I saw some comments. Some people were saying you are supposed to sweep the house in order to for peace to reign. You ought to sweep the house. But the truth is, the woman has to take care of the kids. She needs to ensure food is ready before she leaves the house for church. What was the man doing? What was he doing? Sleeping and just giving orders all around. But the truth is, I still do not blame the man. You as a woman, you've seen all of these red flags, but you still decide to move on with the marriage. In relationship, you help the guy do everything. He doesn't do anything. You should know that, okay, this is what you are in for. And once he says, go sweep the house, then do it, because that was what you signed up for. So if you know that he is this kind of person that doesn't want to assist you, and you know you are this person that always wants assistance, please don't go ahead with the marriage. But if you know you are very comfortable with it, once he asks you, go sweep that place before you leave the house, then do it. Your honor, I will sweep the house before I leave.
Man, you're making it sound like something from Coming to America.
It's interesting because most of, you know, when it comes to marriages like this, I do not like interfering. You know why? Because most people see all of these red flags, but they still decide to go on.
That is it. They are either blinded with the intimate part of it, or I love you, sometimes even the sex, and they tend to put all those red flags in perspective before even getting married. And that you're just talking about that from the women's angle. The men also go through a whole lot. Like I said, in all honesty, go and check. The life expectancy for men now is 54 years. It's one of the lowest in the world. And what is killing most men is just two things: hypertension, and indeed, which is high blood pressure, and indeed a feeling of mental depression. So sometimes when you see how the economy seems to be hard and you go home to a very nagging and troubling wife, most certainly your blood pressure will shoot up and you will not last the moment. So sometimes some of these red flags are seen during courtship. The important thing is to ensure that you see them and do not fall. For love is blind, but you dying is a reality. That's just the honest truth.
Well, that's the reality. I won't advise you to stay for the children, but I will say stay alive for the
Which
children.
is more important.
Yes, stay alive for the children. So if you know you're in any form of a domestic violence, marriage or relationship, please run away. This is for both gender, because I know men suffer domestic violence too, in as much as they don't come out to cry out and all of that, but some go through a lot. If you are in any form of a domestic violence, marriage, relationship, please run for your life. Yes, away from that, let's quickly take this last story. I saw this recent conversation circulating online, and has sparked concern after a guest went to a podcast and she revealed that over 200,000 people are living with HIV in Rivers State. Whoa, that is very high. While also raising alarm about the rising rates of HIV infections in Lagos and other parts of Nigeria. The revelation triggered strong reactions across social media, with many Nigerians expressing shock at the figures and calling for increased awareness, testing, and preventive education to combat the spread of HIV/AIDS. Health advocates are urging the public to take regular testing seriously, to seek proper medical guidance, and continue self-health practices. And sometimes I just get to wonder. I remember that very man that died in custody that said he had HIV and then he slept with his kids,
yeah.
minors, and all of that. Like, why do people try to spread all of this? And then we've seen cases of some people saying they were actually infected and they have to infect other people too. Like, we are all humans. Why then do we do all of these things? Spreading this HIV, spreading all of these things. Why exactly do people do all of these
Well,
things?
I'll just call it pure wickedness on their part. And they feel if I'm going down, I'll not go down alone.
I want others
I
to
want
go.
others to follow. But this is a pure indication that you need to be responsible for yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, you know, the virus is real. And funny enough, United States government, who have been a major donor in helping to get most of these retroviral drugs, have refused. Trump has put a ban on that. And we know USAID or USAID has stopped any funding or counter funding of persons living with HIV. The pills are now very expensive. So the best way to avoid all of that is for you to abstain or indeed use a protection. That's just the only way. Be responsible to yourselves and stay alive, please. It is always important. The high rates of HIV and AIDS in Nigeria is quite alarming. Many people will say it's just in Rivers, but go to other major cities, even right here in Delta State, it is quite alarming, and the rate seems to be spreading by the day because of irresponsible actions of people not doing what they need to do.
But why do people feel like maybe they know, but they just keep emphasizing on the sexual intercourse part of the spread of HIV/AIDS? But the truth is, they actually spread other ways.
Yeah.
Like, you as a man, you go to the salon, you do not have a personal clipper. You go to the salon, you can actually get it there. As a lady, you go to the salon, the spa for your manicure, your pedicures, and all of that, and you do not have your personal things. So we need to take precautions in order to curb all of this HIV/AIDS that is circulating. We really need to reduce the number because, like we heard from Mr. Michael, the drugs are no longer cheap. They are very expensive, and this is the very reason why we need to take preventive measures from getting all of this HIV/AIDS. You want to say something, Mr. Michael?
Yeah, all I will say is, you know, yes, we do know there are other ways that it can spread, but sex has been one of the fastest. It contributes almost 80, if not 90% of the spread, and just being responsible is the only way out in dealing with it. Please, husbands, the issue of having side chicks and why the issue of having side booze is not the best.
Knowing the fact that
Yeah,
somebody
stay-
said
yeah.
it's better to stand with 4 legs than standing on 1 leg.
So just please think about staying alive.
Remember
and be
HIV
responsible.
AIDS. Yeah, remember HIV AIDS. If you want to stand on 4 legs, please remember HIV is real. Yes, let's take all of the preventive measures that we can take. Well, we need to really go because time is not a friend of ours. We really need to wrap things up here on Trending. It's been an amazing, super amazing time. I really had fun. I know you had fun too. And you know, you can engage with us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram at Atlantic Media and TV. Well, this is where I have to say, see you for another great edition of Viewpoints, same time tomorrow on Atlantic TV. I am Mercy Erabo. Do have a great day.
And yes, do have a great day and do have a great midweek. And you do know it's always on this lovely platform when we tend to make you enjoy every time on Viewpoint. I am Michael Gobadia. God willing, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.